The night my boss showed up at my apartment door was the moment my simple life cracked open. I was standing there with my heart still racing from a mistake I could not undo, staring at two worlds that were about to collide. One wrong message, one knock at the door, and nothing felt safe anymore. My name is Jack Adams. I am 25 years old, and for the past year I have worked construction in Denver, Colorado. I just cleared my probation at Rocky Peak Construction, one of the biggest firms in the city. It is hard work, early mornings, sore muscles, and long days under the sun, but it is steady. After years of scraping by, steady feels like winning. Every morning starts the same. I wake up before sunrise in my small studio apartment on the edge of town. The wallpaper peels, the faucet leaks, and the bed creaks, but it is mine. I eat toast with peanut butter, tie my shoes and jog to the job site while the mountains sit quietly in the distance. I keep my head down at work, joke with the guys, and do my job right. No drama. That is how I like it. Outside of work, my life is Rachel. Rachel is 23 and works as a cashier at the grocery store near my place. I met her 6 months ago after a long shift when I stopped in for snacks. She smiled at me while scanning my items, laughed when I dropped my change, and something about her felt easy. She has blonde hair, freckles across her nose, and this habit of humming songs without noticing. Being with her feels light, safe. We do cheap dates, share fries, watch old shows on my laptop, and talk about nothing. She makes the future feel less scary. Then there is my boss, Linda Howard. Linda is 38, the project manager everyone respects and fears a little. She wears sharp clothes, keeps her hair neat, and runs the site like a machine. She is tough, direct, and distant. I barely spoke to her beyond meetings. She felt untouchable, like someone from a different world. That is why what happened that Friday still feels unreal. It was brutally hot on the site. Concrete dust stuck to my skin, my arms burned, and I was counting the minutes until we wrapped up. During a short break, I pulled out my phone and typed a message to Rachel. I told her I missed her and wanted to hold her all night. It was cheesy, but it was us. Then someone shouted for a report. I rushed, copied notes, and sent the message without checking the contact. My hands were sweaty. The sun was blinding, and I shoved my phone away. When I checked again, my stomach dropped. The message did not go to Rachel. It went to Linda Howard. I felt sick. I tried to unsend it, staring at the spinning icon like my life depended on it. After what felt like forever, it showed unsent. I breathed again. I told myself she never saw it. That lie lasted a few hours. That evening, Rachel texted that she was coming over. I was relaxed again, making instant noodles, thinking the scare was over. When the doorbell rang, I opened it with a smile. Linda Howard was standing there. No blazer, no clipboard. Just her, calm and serious, looking straight at me. She said she needed to talk about the message, face to face. I panicked. I apologized. I told her I had a girlfriend. I told her it was a mistake. She listened, then surprised me by not being angry. She said she was not there to fire me. She said people mix things up all the time. Then she said something that stuck with me. She said it gets lonely sometimes. Before I could process that, the doorbell rang again. Rachel walked in with snacks and stopped when she saw Linda. The room felt heavy. Introductions were awkward. Smiles were tight. Linda was polite, professional, and gone within minutes, leaving silence behind her. Rachel asked questions. I brushed them off. We tried to act normal, but something had shifted. Later that night, my phone buzzed again. A short text from Linda. Professional, kind, unnecessary. Rachel noticed. From that moment on, everything felt different. At work, Linda seemed warmer. She asked how I was doing. She noticed small things. At home, Rachel became more watchful, more careful with her words, afraid of something she could feel but not see. I was caught in the middle without meaning to be. One mistake had opened a door I never planned to walk through, and deep down, I knew this was only the beginning. The week after that night felt heavier than any concrete slab I had ever carried. Nothing had exploded yet, but everything felt like it was waiting to. At work, the noise of drills and engines stayed the same, but inside my head, it was chaos. Linda did not avoid me. That was the strange part. She also did not cross any obvious line. She just noticed me more. A nod when I arrived, a quick check-in during breaks, a calm question about how I was holding up. It should have meant nothing, but it did. I started looking for her without meaning to, not in a creepy way, just awareness, where she stood during meetings. The sound of her voice when she gave instructions, the way she handled problems without raising her voice. She carried herself like someone who had learned how to stand alone. Rachel noticed the shift before I did. She started coming by more often, sometimes unannounced. She would text during my lunch break, then show up near the site with food, smiling too brightly. She said she missed me. She said she wanted to surprise me. I believed her, but I also felt the pressure behind it. One afternoon, she waited for me after work. We walked back to my apartment in silence, the sun dropping behind the buildings. Inside, she finally spoke. "I feel like you are drifting, Jack." I told her I was just tired. Work stress. Nothing more. She nodded, but her eyes told me she did not believe it. She asked again about Linda, if she was texting me, if she was bothering me. I said no, not exactly a lie, but not the full truth either. That night, Rachel held me tighter than usual, like she was afraid if she loosened her grip I might disappear. At work, Linda kept things professional, but there were moments that felt too personal to ignore. One day we ended up alone, reviewing plans in a trailer. It was quiet, just the hum of machines outside. She asked about my goals, where I saw myself in 5 years. No one had asked me that in a long time. I said I had not really thought about it. She smiled and said most people do not, until life forces them to. That sentence stayed with me. Later that week, she told me she had started in construction younger than me, that she worked twice as hard to be taken seriously, that relationships never fit into her schedule the way she hoped. She did not say it with sadness, just honesty. I found myself listening more than I should. Rachel felt it when I pulled away, even slightly. One night, we argued for the first time in months. She said I was present but not really there, that when she talked I heard her but did not feel her anymore. That hurt, because it was partly true. I still loved Rachel. Her laugh still softened me. Her warmth still felt like home. But something had shifted inside me. A question I could not ignore had started forming. Was love only supposed to be easy, or was it supposed to challenge you too? The tension reached a breaking point one Friday evening. Rachel came over early, clearly upset. She told me she saw Linda near the grocery store earlier that day. Linda had recognized her and smiled, said hello, too calmly. Rachel asked me straight out if Linda liked me. I said I did not know. That answer changed everything, Rachel cried. Not loudly. Quiet tears that felt worse. She said she felt stupid competing with someone who had more life experience, more confidence, more control. She said she felt like she was already losing me. I held her. I told her she was not losing me. But the words felt thin even as I said them. The next Monday, Linda asked me to stay back after work. Just a quick discussion about a new project. That was all she said. The site emptied out. The sun dipped low. Inside the trailer, it was just us again. She thanked me for staying late, then paused. She looked at me in a way she never had before. Not as a boss, not as a manager, as a woman. She said she had been thinking about that night at my apartment. About timing. About honesty. She said she did not want to cross lines, but she also did not want to pretend she felt nothing. My heart pounded so hard I thought she could hear it. She asked me one simple question. What do you want, Jack? I did not answer right away, because for the first time I realized the truth was not simple, and whatever I said next would change everything. I did not answer Linda right away. The question hung between us, heavy and quiet. The trailer felt smaller, the air warmer. I could hear my own breathing, slow and uneven. What did I want? The honest answer scared me. I told her I did not know, that my life had been simple until recently. Work, home, Rachel. No big choices, no lines crossed. She listened without interrupting, her face calm, her eyes steady. Linda nodded and said she respected that. She said she had no interest in being a secret or a mistake. She had done that once before, and it cost her more than she was willing to lose again. She told me she would step back if that was what I needed. That should have been relief. Instead, it felt like loss. That night, I went home and found Rachel sitting on my couch. She had let herself in with the spare key I gave her months ago. Her eyes were red, like she had been crying. She asked where I had been. I told her I stayed late at work. She asked if it was with Linda. I hesitated. Just a second too long. Rachel stood up and said she was tired of guessing. Tired of feeling like she was sharing space with someone she could not see. She said she loved me, but she could not keep living in fear of losing me. Then she gave me an ultimatum. She said I could choose her and cut all personal contact with Linda, or I could walk away and be honest about wanting something else. She said she would not beg. Hearing that broke something in me. I loved Rachel. She was my comfort, my joy, my first real relationship. But I also knew cutting off Linda completely would not fix what had already changed inside me. It would only bury it. I told Rachel I needed time. She shook her head. She said time was just another way of avoiding the truth. She packed her things slowly, carefully, like each item hurt to touch. At the door, she turned back and asked one last time if there was someone else in my heart. I did not answer. The door closed behind her, and the silence felt louder than any argument. The next few days were brutal. I went through the motions at work, ate without tasting, slept without resting. Rachel did not text. That absence hurt more than anger would have. Linda noticed something was wrong. She did not push, she just asked if I was okay. I told her I was not. She nodded like she understood exactly what that meant. One evening after work, she asked if I wanted to grab coffee. Neutral ground, no expectations. I agreed, telling myself it was just talk. At the cafe, she did not flirt, she did not pressure. She talked about her past, about a marriage that ended because she kept choosing work over connection, about how she learned that wanting two things did not make you greedy, just human. That sentence hit me hard. She said something else that night that changed how I saw everything. She said, love does not always demand a clean choice. Sometimes it asks for honesty instead. When I got home, my phone buzzed. Rachel. She said she missed me, that she hated how things ended, that she wanted to talk. The next evening, we met at the park where we had our first real date. The air was cool, the city quiet. She looked smaller somehow. Tired. She asked me if I had seen Linda. I told her the truth. I told her I cared about her, that I also felt something real with Linda, that I did not want to lie to either of them or to myself. Rachel was quiet for a long time. Then she surprised me. She did not yell. She did not cry. She said she appreciated the honesty, even if it hurt. She said she had always believed love had rules, but maybe people were more complicated than that. Then she said something I never expected. She asked if I thought there was a way we could stop pretending and start talking honestly, all of us. My heart raced. A few days later, we met. All three of us. No anger, no games. Just uncomfortable honesty, feelings laid bare, fears spoken out loud. That was when the line was drawn. Not between them, but in front of me. They both looked at me and said the same thing. I could not keep standing in the middle without choosing how I wanted to live. And that was when I finally understood the question was never about choosing one of them. It was about choosing who I was willing to become. We sat there in silence after everything was said. No shouting, no tears. Just three people facing the truth without anywhere to hide. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from the weight of what this moment meant. Rachel was the first to speak. She said she had never imagined sharing space like this, but she was tired of pretending emotions were simple. She said she loved me, but she also loved herself enough not to disappear or compete. Linda nodded, not with victory, but with understanding. She said she refused to be someone's secret or mistake, but she also respected honesty more than rules written by fear. Then, they both looked at me. Rachel said, "If we do this, it has to be real. No lies, no power games, no hiding." Linda said, "And no one gets pushed aside when things get uncomfortable." That was the moment everything clicked. I finally spoke, without panic, without trying to protect anyone from the truth. I told them I cared for them in different ways, but both were real. Rachel brought warmth, joy, and youth into my life. Linda brought depth, stability, and understanding. Neither replaced the other. They filled different spaces inside me that I did not even know existed. I told them I did not want to choose out of fear. I wanted to choose honesty. The room stayed quiet for a long time. Then Rachel exhaled slowly and said something I will never forget. She said, "Love does not shrink when shared with truth. It only shrinks when fed with lies." Linda reached for her coffee cup, steady as always, and said this would not be easy, but easy had never been the goal. Growth was. We did not rush anything after that night. There were rules, boundaries, conversations that were uncomfortable and necessary. Linda stepped back at work to keep things professional. Rachel and I relearned how to talk without assuming. Everything moved slower than emotions wanted, but stronger than fear allowed. Weeks passed, then months. People would never understand our arrangement, and that was fine. It was not built for approval. It was built on consent, respect, and brutal honesty. I learned that love is not about possession. It is about presence. Rachel did not become less important. She became more confident. Linda did not lose control. She learned how to soften without breaking. And me, I stopped running from parts of myself I used to ignore. One evening, sitting on my fire escape with both of them beside me, city lights glowing below, I realized something simple and powerful. Life had given me an impossible choice only to teach me that some answers exist outside fear. When my boss and my girlfriend once said I could only choose one of them, they were both right and wrong at the same time. Because what I really chose was truth. And for the first time in my life, I was not divided anymore.